Hello, I'm Jijo. I'm a mentor at Career Launcher, and I'm going to talk today about CLAT 2019. We have 99 days. Can I get 99 percentile? That's a question. Now, for those of you watching, there could be three kind of students who are watching this video. One is already seriously preparing for the CLAT. So you are now in the last 100 odd days before the CLAT hits you, and you will want to know what is that I need to do in these last roughly 3 months, maybe not even 3 months. And there may be some of you who actually started studying for the CLAT, but not very serious. Now, once the notification is out, suddenly you're thinking, okay, I'll have to do something about it now. That'll be the second category. And the third category are those of you who would have just started your preparation for the CLAT. Now, the question number one is it possible for this to happen? If I'm someone who's just started studying for the CLAT, is it possible? Now, I don't know how many hours are you going to put in. So if what we have is roughly 100 days with us, and let's say you are someone who can put in about 3 hours per day, and that will mean that we have about 300 hours with us. Now, the question is the 300 hours enough? What is the CLAT test is? CLAT has got 3 areas, which is verbal ability and reading comprehension. That's area number 1. Second is data interpretation and logical reasoning. And the third is quantitative ability. Now, is this 300 hours enough? If I'm someone who's just started prepping for the CLAT, is it enough? Now, that question is very difficult to answer, but let me give you some perspective. If you were someone who want to look at let's start with quantitative ability, and the first thing, of course, is to learn some fundamentals. In fact, learn all the fundamentals of the roughly 25 odd chapters. Some people may say 20, some people may say 30, 25 odd chapters. We'll have to do the fundamental, and then following with quite a few practice. That's what is required with quantitative ability. Now, when it comes to data interpretation and logical reasoning, especially with respect to the CLAT, there is per se not so much fundamentals involved. Yes, you could take logical reasoning, and there are these 3 or 4 or 5 types of questions: grouping, arrangement, matrix arrangement, and so on and so forth. And data interpretation, you could look at tables, missing data, set theory, and so on and so forth. So by and large, you're looking at practicing as many questions as possible when it comes to data interpretation, logical reasoning. And verbal ability, reading comprehension, again, so if you look at the CLAT, there is reading comprehension, that's 24 questions, and there is verbal ability, which is 10 questions. All these questions are comprehension based. Even if you look at verbal ability, these are questions where you're given a paragraph and then you asked to write a summary of the paragraph. That's one kind of question. Second is from a paragraph, 4 sentences are there, it's jumbled and given to you, and you have to kind of arrange the correct sequence. Or the third kind of question is where you get a paragraph, 4 sentences from a paragraph that is jumbled, and then another sentence or somewhere else is kind of plugged into that paragraph, and you have to identify the odd one out. So by and large, if you look at verbal ability and reading comprehension in the CLAT, at least in the last 4 years, there were no questions on grammar, there were no questions on vocabulary. All the questions were logic based, all the questions were reasoning based. Therefore, in one sense, here this also requires what you need to do is as much practice as possible. Practice, yes. So if I were to look at this, answering this question, is 300 hours enough? Now, if you're looking at about 25 chapters for the QA, and if you tend to put about 2 hours per chapter, that'll be about 50 hours is what you require for quantitative ability. And let's say that you have then to do a little bit of practice, maybe an additional practice of about 40 hours and of practice. This should be done within about 90 hours. So you can actually do a QA with reasonable amount of accuracy. If you spend about 90 hours, that's roughly comes to about slightly more than 3 hours per chapter, including the practice questions. So this will get the foundation. And if you look at verbal ability and reading comprehension, there is reading comprehension, and there is this verbal ability questions, which includes paragraph jumble, paragraph summary, odd sentence. And let's say you are someone who would probably want to do about, let's say, 200 reading comprehension passages. That should be decent enough. I should practice a minimum 200. You can actually take it to 300, 400. That's up to you. And in verbal ability, then you can look at something like, I don't know, 200 questions each, or maybe 100 questions each, totaling about 300 questions. And if I look at each passage, let's say it takes about 15 minutes. This comes to about 3,000 minutes. That's about 20 hours of work. And let's say if each of them takes about 2 minutes here, verbal ability, that's 600 minutes. That's about 6 hours of work. So if collectively, if you're able to put in roughly something close to 30 hours, even more, you can actually do even more, but roughly close to about 30 hours, you should be in a decent level at verbal ability reading comprehension. And DLR, let's say that you want to solve, to be absolutely certain, let's say we solve about 200 sets. 200 sets of question. This may take a while. Maybe each sets takes about roughly about 12 minutes odd. Okay, so I don't know. Let's take about 12 minutes each. So that roughly comes to, how much is that? 2400 by 6, about 30-40 hours. Okay, so this will come to about 30 hours or maybe even 40 hours over. Depend, maybe 50. Have I got the maths right? It should be okay. 200 times 12. That's about 20, after that 40 hours, yeah. This comes to about actually 40 hours, yeah. So net if you want to look at your is 90 plus 40 is 130. It's about 160 hours. Approximately 160 hours out of the 300 hours. And the remaining 150 hours, then you can spend in taking your mock test. So in one sense, it's actually quite possible, if you are systematic in your preparation, to manage these 300 hours. That's point number one. Now, if it is possible for me to kind of do my best for the CAN, what is that I need to do in the next 100 days? And this is what my suggestion would be. Okay. Let's look at what point should I start. My starting point would be before whatever position of preparation you are in. You've not started your preparation, you're midway, wherever you are, you want to start by taking a mock test. Now, you have CAT 2017 papers available, you have CAT 2018 papers available, 2 slots of CAT 2017, 2 slots of CAT 2018, these papers are available. You can take one of them and find out what is my score at my current level of prep. What I want to find out now is what is my score at VRC, what is my score at DILR, and what is my score at QA at the current level of prep. Now, just to give you some perspective, VRC is 34 questions. DLR is 32 questions and QA is 34 questions, right? And the total number of marks, this will be 102 marks because each questions carry 3 marks. This is 96 marks and this is 102 marks, and all of this total to 300 marks. And this is my score now, and I have got a total score. And there is, to get the 90 percentile, I'll probably now. In various years of the camp, the 99 percentile score has changed. If I look at last year, it's about 154. I'm just putting a figure of 160 there, right? And if I want to hit about 99 percentile in each of these sections, my score in VRC should be very close to about 75. That's a 99 percentile score. My score in DLR should be close to about 45. And my score in QA should be close to 65. Now, if you add these three together, it will not come to 160 probably, but this is 99 percentile individually. Okay, if you add these three things together, probably your score will shoot more than 99 percentile. So from here to here, and here to here, here to here is my gap. Now, my first thing that I would want to do before I even start my preparation is to understand where my gap is. You just not only do that, there's one more thing that I would suggest you to do. Now, please do understand, when you're taking this test in the start, this test you have taken under certain test condition. Now you might, this is your test condition score. Okay, this you've taken the test under test condition. There could be certain pressure. You're still not an efficient test taker. There are a lot of questions that you would have missed and probably would have panicked. What you want to do, so what probably would have happened in one section is certain questions you got correct, certain questions you've got wrong, and certain questions you did not attempt at all. What I want to do is, once I do this mock test, the next thing I want to do, I want to retake the complete test without looking at the solution, but without any time limit. What I need to understand is, out of these questions, how many is actually correct and how many of the question may be fluke. It could have happened. I'm not saying that it will be very less, but how many of the question I probably guessed it and got the answer right, and how many of the question I got wrong. When I do this again, without looking at the solution, of course, how many have got right and how many have got wrong. And the third part is, in the question that I did not attempt, how many got right and how many I got wrong. And this part, A, let's call it B, and let's call it C. Now this A plus B plus C is your real knowledge. And look, plug in that score here, so that score will be somewhere here, your real knowledge score in this case. And then you'll get a better picture in terms of what is the gap that I have to fill in terms of knowledge. And there is a certain gap therefore I have to fill here, that is my ability as a test taker. Now this is something that you must have. And then it is therefore important, as you carry on your studies, you take this mock test as very regular interval, irrespective of the fact that you actually, whatever level of preparation that you're in, it doesn't matter whether you've got 25% done, 50% done. My recommendation and suggestion would be that you start off by taking a mock test once in every 10 days. And if you've already been preparing, and then you look at taking a mock once every week, and then taking to twice every week, and then maybe a mock, maybe in about 2 weeks taking about 5 mock tests. So start this. And now in this point of view, during this point of view, you're doing your prep. Okay, you're doing your prep and you're taking in the next test. Do the same analysis. Do the same analysis. Now we'll understand, okay, I've got certain gaps, and then the next stage is to kind of work on those areas, and then take the next mock, and you have to continue this preparation. There is something that I must tell you here, is that if you actually look at data interpretation and logical reasoning, or you look at verbal ability, reading comprehension, let me write that side. Verbal ability, reading comprehension, data interpretation, logical reasoning, these two I've told in the beginning is based on practice, right? And if you're actually taking 30 mocks, let me take for example reading comprehension example from here. Every passage has, every test will have 5 passages. Now if you have taken 30 mocks, 5 into 30, you automatically would have done 150 reading comprehension passages. And if you data interpretation logical reasoning, every mock has got 8 sets. Every mock has got 8 sets. So 8 sets every mock, multiplied by 30 mocks, that's 240 sets. Therefore, if you do this process, right, which means you're sitting after every mock, from one mock to the next mock, you're actually solving all the questions of DLR once again without time limit. Eventually, what you see is that you would have solved 240 sets. That's a huge number of sets. That should be enough to kind of do well in data interpretation logical reasoning, also with respect to ERC. Therefore, the only area which requires you to have strong fundamentals to be able to solve this quantitative ability. Now, what normally happens is that we tend to believe that I will finish the complete maths, then only I'll start taking the test. Don't do that. Yes, fundamentals are important, but you must continuously take the mock test, do this analysis, and after taking about 10 tests, 15 tests, you will get to understand who you are, what are your strengths, what game plan you want to play. Okay, you may say that this is not working out for me, I may do 60 here, I may try for 80 there. Or maybe you have a different plan. Okay, let me do 80 there, let me do about 40 there, let me do about 70 there. You'll come out with this plan of plan of action. So it is absolutely crucial that in the last 99 days, the most important tools that you have is your mock test. This is a very, very important tool. And don't think your mock test as a reflection of your ability. Don't consider mock test a reflection of ability. You consider the mock test as a preparation tool. Use the mock test. Understand from there. Learn from there. Practice using that. And then that's when the real change happens. Now, we have 99 days. You started the whole journey with a certain goal that you had to make it to one of the top management institutes of this country. Always remember that. Now, when you're going through this journey, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be ups and downs, no doubt. But it cannot happen that I'm going to give up on this. Don't give up. You still have considerable amount of time. You've got so much time. I've just put someone who is studying 3 hours every day. You can study more. In fact, I know how many hours are you spending on Instagram every day. Is it 4 hours? Is it 5 hours? How many Netflix movie do you watch every day? Or maybe every week? You can cut down a lot of things. And move that time to your CLAT preparation. Make that your life in the next 99 days. Let it be your goal. And keep taking a mock test. Learn from each test. Play a game. Play an amazing game. And then go ahead and crack the 99 percentile in CLAT. That is my advice. Thank you.
Career Launcher. Make your parents explode with joy.